Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my dear students. Welcome to another topic in motor learning and its theories. Remember that the previous learning are interrelated with this topic, so do not be confused, and I hope that you lend me your ears and sit tight. Human beings use movement to learn about their world. It is either to function in the world as they grow and mature, and to maintain healthy bodies, individuals must learn to move and at the same time move to learn. Learn to move and move to learn is a simultaneous process because, as the saying goes, you will never learn until you try moving and doing the activity yourself. Because no matter how many times people will help you, if you will not help yourself, it is useless. That is why children explore their worlds through movement and makes fundamental link between action and reality through movement. You observe children, they are very, very brave in doing actions, and so much so that when they hear music, they dance or sing or many cute things that they do. So they are able to link actions with what they hear, okay, and what they see. Therefore, motor learning is defined as an array of internal processes associated with practice and experience in which, in the context of acquisition of a specific skill, will produce relatively permanent changes in how motor activity is elicited. So as was said earlier, it has to be continuous, there must be practice, and the individual must experience it. So we go back to the learning to move and move to learn. Okay? Still part of the motor learning is the ability to develop a relatively permanent change in motor skills from novice to skilled performance through practice or experience and by engaging in activities that are currently beyond an individual's capabilities. So remember when I started teaching you Arnie's dance, the cha-cha-cha and the rumba, definitely you may say that you were in the novice or zero knowledge, right? So we call that novice. And then as we moved along, you were able to learn and you were able to perform. So that is the novice to skilled performances. We may not include, we cannot consider ourselves skilled yet. We still have a long way to go, but definitely through your determination, you will be able to be skilled. I'm pretty sure of that. Another one, and still in the motor learning, it is when complex processes in the brain occur in response to practice or experience of a skill, resulting in changes in the central nervous system that allow for production of a new motor skill. Remember the former lectures that we had? So this is just a form of a summary, no? So what we learned is retained or stored in our brains and referred to as memory, whereas short-term modifications are not regarded as learning. Why must this be so? We will soon find out. But first, we will discuss the difference between ability versus skill. So ability is generally thought to be a relatively permanent characteristics or trait that is typically associated with genetic component, meaning it cannot be easily altered with practice or experience. Skill, on the other hand, is unlike ability, which can be modified or even acquired with practice or experience. And many factors affecting motor learning includes age, race, culture, or genetic predisposition. So the skills displayed by each individual are the result of the learning process. So what about motor learning and skilled performance? So the following concepts are used to determine the success of motor learning and skilled performance. Number one is improvement. So it is used in measuring the skill. For example, in archery, you score more accurately by hitting a target with lesser errors. And same as true with the performance that you made in arnis, in rumba, and soon to be with the cha-cha-cha. So if there will be lesser errors, then there is improvement. Another one is consistency. So the individual or the learner is able to reliably produce the result. So one good example is on the practicum on rumba. We take the pair with highest score, for example. We let them perform for every meeting, and they will be producing the same result. That will be consistent or consistency. Okay? Another one is retention. So it has something to do with our memory, no? We test, or the tests are used following a delay in practice to determine if permanent learning has occurred. So let's say our learning in cha-cha-cha, and we had our Holy Week vacation afterwards. And then we again try to perform the following week, and we test our memory or retention if you were able to perform the same way as it was taught. And of course, we have to agree, some of you had forgotten all the steps already. No? Finally, we have the so-called transfer. It is the ability to perform a similar movement within a different context in which it was initially learned and tested. Okay, so example would be your rumba. What would be the transfer of rumba? So we could apply this in interpretative dances. Okay, so what you learn in the rumba can be done in interpretative or jazz. Okay, so for those of you who'd been performing or joined in the dance sports, you can see how we see some similarities of the dance on the rumba and on some of the interpretative dances. So, ladies and gentlemen, my dear students, this is part one of the lecture, and please watch the second part coming your way. Thank you. God bless you. And I hope that this recording or this learning material will be beneficial to you.